Hello and welcome to another episode of Thick Slices and Deep Cuts. This evening I will be discussing 8 albums by Eclectic Prog Rockers BEARDFISH from Sweden. Maybe one of the, I wouldn't say they were one of the newer bands, but they formed in 2001 and they disbanded in 2016, so they were together for 15 years, but in that time they made 8 really awesome albums. This was an interesting review, and even though I've been listening to this band probably since like 08, when I got into them, 07 or I think it was 08, I've been listening to them quite a bit over the years, and yet still in reviewing for this, I almost thought I might need another week. Their music is just so layered, it's just so detailed. They're like what I would call like a really enthusiastic band. They just have all these musical ideas and they just throw them all in there. And when I say eclectic, you know, this band does everything. This is, again, like a younger band. I think Rickard Sjöblom, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but Rickard is the main guy. I think he was born in 82. So, you know, they formed this band pretty much when they were about 19 or 20 years old. And by the way, he's still going strong to this day. But it's Rickard and the other guy, David Zachrisson, is the guitar player. Rickard's kind of a jack of all trades. He's the main singer, and he plays guitars and keyboards or whatever the band needs. You've got Robert Hansen on bass and Magnus Ågström on drums. So those 4 guys were there the whole way. And they basically decided, you know, once it seemed like there might be a band change or whatever, they just decided, hey, let's just call it a day. We had a good thing going, and let's just leave it at that. But really cool band. Again, I hear everything. I hear Frank Zappa. I hear Gentle Giant. I hear King Crimson. I hear some hints of like death metal, you know, here and there. Not that they necessarily go for a mega crunch guitar sound, but they just kind of employ that sort of Swedish death metal influence just here and there. Every once in a while you just hear a little bit of it come up here and there, but just awesome, totally progressive band, just really good retro. They've got that 70s thing down to a T. Rickard's got all those classic vintage keyboard and synthesizer sounds. So, but we'll just get right to it. They've got 8 really damn good albums. And I own 6 of the 8, and I'll explain here shortly why I don't have 2 of them. I have my reasons for why I don't have 2 of them, but we'll get right into it. So we'll start at number 8. This is one of the 2 albums that I don't have a physical copy of, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, because at number 8, their debut album from 03, and it's in Swedish. I believe I had to write it down. Fran en plats du ej kan se. Don't know what that means in Swedish, but that is coming in at number 8 as their debut album. This is really good. BEARDFISH already sound like BEARDFISH on the debut. It's this lineup. They actually were a 5-piece here. There's another guy, Stefan, was the proper keyboard player on just this album. And when he departed the band after this, they just did it all themselves as a 4-piece. Title track's excellent. Spegeldans, I don't know, a lot of these songs, not a lot, but 2 or 3 of these are sung in Swedish. And then the big track on here is a Psychic Amplifier, which is 14 or 15 minutes long at the end of the album. And that's another thing. Every single BEARDFISH album, all 8 have at least some 10-plus minute song, and I think every album at least has a 12-plus minute song. And some have some really long songs. So every single BEARDFISH album is going to give you that huge, epic type track. But it's a really cool album. Again, it sounds like BEARDFISH already. I think it's maybe not quite as detailed and layered as the albums would get moving forward, but you know, Rickard sounds like Rickard. They've kind of got their tongue-in-cheek, kind of their, you know, that little Zappa tongue-in-cheek thing going on already. But it's a little moodier than maybe they would get. You know, moving forward, they were getting a little more slapsticky, but in the beginning, maybe they weren't quite as slapsticky, but still a little tongue-in-cheek. And again, not quite as layered, but still pretty pretty detailed and already getting that retro prog sound going on the debut. So I have been listening to this album for years. I tried to get a physical copy here in time for the review, and I got the CD and it arrived on Saturday, and I paid like $30 with shipping because this CD is long out of print. So I paid $30 for this CD, open up the package, and they sent me the wrong CD. So, but I was hoping to have a physical copy of that here. But at any rate, coming in at number 8, a very solid debut album. Incredibly promising debut album. I'll pronounce it one more time. Fran en Plaats Du Edge Kansé. Anyway, it's their debut album from 2003. Okay, so coming in at number 7, this would be their 7th album from 2012. Really solid album. But I'm going to go with The Void. This band puts out nothing but awesome albums. And this is an awesome album too. But as it goes, something has to be at number 7. And the reason I'm putting this at 7 isn't because it isn't good. It's because it's probably the least, it's the furthest from the, what you would call like the classic Beardfish sound. On this album, that cover's a little darker. The title's called The Void. And on this one, they straight up play metal at times. It still maintains the classic Beardfish sound for certain songs, but you know, you open it up with Voluntary Slavery. You've not heard Beardfish play a song like that up to this point in their career. This is straight up metal. The guitar tone is, you know, beefed up quite a bit on that song. It's a good song, and it continues with Turn to Gravel. So the first two, you know, there's an intro, but the first 2 full tracks, they're coming out swinging. You know, they're coming out swinging with 2 metal tracks. So Voluntary Slavery and Into Turn to Gravel are 2 metallic songs, and they make no bones about that. They Whisper kind of goes back to like a moodier, but more of that retro prog type thing. This Matter of Mind's classic Beardfish, and then it's all over the place. They even have just a moment of growling in the middle, and it just kind of gets riled up at times. So that song is a good mixture of the classic Beardfish sound, but getting into that metallic, getting up to that metallic level. So this is a cool album. Again, coming in at number 7 just because it's probably the furthest removed from the typical Beardfish sound, but still excellent. 17 again is good. Ludwig and Sverker, another Swedish one. Ludwig and Sverker, that's probably the best song on here, and just it's really catchy, it's classic, it's the closest to classic Beardfish, but still kind of moody. And then you've got, you know, you can't have a Beardfish album without a classic long song, and Note is 15 or so minutes. And that's kind of dark and moody at times. It's got this eerie piano riff that kind of floats in and out towards the middle of the song. And then it ends with Where the Lights Are Low. But, you know, I listened to this quite a bit for the review. As I always do, I usually listen to the lower half of the albums, probably more so than the top 2 or 3. Although I listen to everything for this review. But I put it at 7, but I thought, I was just laughing going, there's no way this is 7 out of 8. Any other band, if this was any other band, this would be up at the top 3. But because Beardfish put out nothing but, if you were going to give these grades, Beardfish put out nothing but B+, A-, A albums. I mean, everything they do is just excellent. If you were going to put Beardfish on a you know, shuffle, they're the perfect band to put on shuffle because anything you play from them is going to be good. So tough to put it at 7, but again, I'm just stating it's 7 because it's the furthest from their typical sound. It's their most metal, their heaviest, darkest album. But there you go, number 7. I have from 2012, their 7th album, and coming in at 7, The Void. Okay, coming in at number 6. Very cool album cover. In their 8th and final album, I've got 4626 Comfort Zone. Apparently, 4626 is their area code. You know, like where I live, it's 636, or my phone is 314. It's the St. Louis general metropolitan area, but I guess 4626 is one of the area codes from somewhere outside of Stockholm. And I guess he put that on there because I guess they The lyrics are about not wanting to leave your comfort zone. But at any rate, another awesome album. This was their final album. The title track is a classic song. They're much more mature at this point. So the classic. This is more classic Beardfish sounding than the previous album, The Void, but they're a little bit more serious later in their career. On the final two albums, they were the productions were slicker. It was a little moodier. Sometimes the lyrics weren't quite as funny as they used to be. This one has another long one that I think it's like 15 minutes. Ode to the Rock and Roller. So you get your big 15-minute on here, and a lot of songs are like 9 or 10. But Ode to the Rock and Roller is kind of sad when I'm listening to the lyrics. It's kind of sad, and you're just not expecting that for Beardfish. But it's really well done. Hold On. I guess it doesn't open it, but it's track 2. There's the One Inside Part 1 is really quiet. It's an intro. The One Inside Part 2 is there's a little bit more going on, and it's 4 minutes. And then the One Inside Part 3, which ends the album, gets even more dynamic, and that's how it finishes. King is a really good song. Daughter of Horror is a good one. Kind of a rough title. They got a little darker towards the end, but there is nothing. I have nothing bad to say about anything on this album. It's just well done, and I'll try to remember when we get done. This comes with a bonus disc of demo material from 02 through 08. So basically, demo material from their first 4 albums. And that's really cool. It's like an album, all unto its own. But I didn't want to rank this based on the bonus material. I just wanted to rank it based on what it is. And I really dig this album, and that cover is great. And again, it's a moodier album, not quite as metallic as The Void, but really good, moody, classic Beardfish sound here. Their final album. So coming in at number 6, their 8th and final album from 2015. I have 4626 Comfort Zone. Okay, coming in at number 5, the other one I don't own, and the reason I don't own it is because the cheapest copy I could find, since it's long out of print, would go for at least $80 on CD, and I would have to get it from Sweden. So by the way, and I wish I had the courage to do this, but somebody needs to reach out to the Beardfish guys and see if they can get those first 2 albums, or especially this one, reissued, reprinted. But at number 5, I'm going with The Same Day. It's a double disc studio album, so it's like each disc is like 55 minutes long, and it came out in 05. It was the second thing they ever did, and there was this dramatic advancement in sound from the first album to this second album. And right here, Beardfish have completely arrived. This is, if you thought the first album was classic, great, but if you didn't think the first album was classic, well, you're getting classic material here. And I think you could say that these 2 albums are more mature than The Same Day, but I just, I listened to The Same Day the most and a ton during this review. It is the Guilty Pleasure album. It's gotta be the most underrated album they've done. It's the most obscure album they've done because nobody can find a physical copy of it. So, but it just, A Love Story is the long one, so it opens with a song called A Love Story, and there's a concept here about a guy who gets his heart broken and goes through this whole journey. But A Love Story opens it at almost 13 minutes long, so there's your big epic track for this. But it's just, they're so talented, they're young and creative, the creative juices are just flowing, and they're young and talented, and they're kind of naive, and for some reason, the naivete and the talent right here converge for something that there are flavors on this album you're just not going to find anywhere else. And I love it. Mud Hill's good. The Gooberville Ballroom Dancer is great. There's a lot of hilarity on this album too, but there's a lot of sophistication too, and I just love this particular moment in the band's career where they're just, like I said, they're really finding their sound here, and they're just naive enough to do things that are brilliant. And as they got more mature, you wouldn't find those sounds anymore. So there are just certain flavors that are just specific to this album. Igloo on 2, Tall Tales, The Same Day, the song, Waiting Room, mystique of the Beauty Queen. The whole thing is great. So I'm a huge fan of The Same Day, their second album from '05. It's a double disc concept album that, again, if you want a physical copy of it, they're hard to find, and the cheapest one I could find was on Discogs. And to ship it to the States, I believe with shipping was going to be $80. So somebody really needs to reach out and get a repress of that, because I think people would buy it. I know I would buy it. So there you go, The Same Day. The good news with The Same Day is you can hear it on Amazon Music, or you can certainly stream the album. So at least you can hear it that way. But so coming in at number 5, that's the most obscure album of their career, and possibly their most underrated. And obviously, I love it. I have more fun listening to that than any of these other albums. So coming in at number 5 from '05, their second album, The Same Day. So, okay, as if that wasn't classic enough, coming in at number 4, and pretty much these top 4 were never really in question. I kind of rearranged them a little. But at number 4, I have I guess this would be their 5th album from 2011. I have Mammoth. Almost looks like a Mastodon cover or something. But Mammoth is another excellent, this is what I will call classic Beardfish sound. This is the classic Beardfish sound. It starts with the platform, good energy, rocking, eclectic, got all the flavors. And then the next track, I think it's about 15 minutes long. It's called And the Stone Said If I Could Speak. So that's your big epic one on here. Again, kind of goofy, kind of cool, interesting. They get heavy without necessarily getting metallic, but they get heavy, they get dynamic. Just tons of retro keyboards and pianos and rocking guitar riffs and harmonies. By the way, Robert Hansen is a great bass player. He's the best bass player nobody knows about. I enjoyed listening to Beardfish from the perspective of the bass player. And man, is he good. He just keeps it busy. Everything's tasteful. Sounds great. I think he's just using a 4-string, just a Fender P bass. That's all he's using. That's all you need. Green Waves is good. That's the heaviest one I think on here. We're listening to Akakabotu right now. It's an instrumental. It's got horns and saxophones. It's got that Zappa flavor to it. And they've got that gentle giant complexity. And certainly all that Genesis and Emerson, Lake and Palmer and King Crimson stuff going on too. But just another awesome offering from the band right here. So this was their 5th album, and this was what I would say the end of their classic era. Maybe it's classic just because this is when I really got into the band, but there you go at number 4 from 2011, and mine has a bonus DVD of a concert from around 09 or 10, but I've got Mammoth at number 4. Okay, coming in at number 3, an awesome album. I kind of underestimated this album for many years, and then I listened to it for this review and was like, this is almost all classic material. But coming in at number 3 from 2009, I have Destined Solitaire. This would have been their 5th album. I guess this was their 6th album. This is their 5th album from '09. Just more classic Beardfish doing exactly, I don't want to say I want them to do a certain kind of style, but this style that they're in, that they were on for Mammoth and Destined Solitaire, is perfect. It's just tongue-in-cheek, it's just loaded with layers and layers of musical information. It's just so progressive. And they're just fearless. They'll try any style. They'll try anything. Awaken the Sleeping is great. The title track is awesome. That's over 10 minutes. Until You Comply is the big one on here. I think that's 15 minutes or 14 at least. In Real Life, There Is No Algebra. I put that on this playlist. It was played earlier. And the only reason I picked that song, even though it's great, is because it was one of the shorter ones at like 4.5 or 5 minutes, because everything on here is like 10, 15, 7. Coup de Grace is cool. It's got the French title and it's kind of moody, but it's got an accordion going on. I'm sure he's using a synthesizer, but he's got the French accordion sound going on. Just a great album. I think it's like 75 minutes long too, like 9 songs. 75 minutes. And it's just classic Beardfish being Beardfish right here. They're just in their prime right here. This was their 5th album in 2009. So there you go. At number 3 from 2009, I have Destined Solitaire. Okay. These top 2, these were the 2 that got me into the band. And I think what I'm going to pick for number 2 is most people's consensus number 1. But at number 2, I'm going to go with Sleeping in Traffic Part 2 from 2008. So this is, again, just Beardfish in their classic mode. This is their 4th album. You've got these short songs to bookend it, As the Sun Sets and Sunrise Again, which are pretty short. But you've got Into the Night is good, and fairly long, 7, 8, 9 minutes, somewhere in there. The Hunter we heard earlier, that's really good. Good energy, just good riffing, just South of the Border's funny. It's not PC, South of the Border, I'll put it that way. Cash Flow's cool, it's an instrumental, but it's wild, it's just all over the place. Eclectic is the word that comes to mind. The Downward Spiral / Chimay, that's another good one. So there are 5 songs in a row after the bookends. There are 5 songs in a row that all are solid and awesome. But if that's not enough, the song Sleeping in Traffic is 35 plus minutes long. And it's got to be probably their crowning achievement of a song, of anything they've done. So every album has like a 12 plus minute song. Well, this album has a 35 minute song. 35 minutes. It's the title track, Sleeping in Traffic. It's incredible. Talk about a song that goes all over the place. There's even a part somewhere like 20 something minutes in where they do a disco part where they're doing Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. Or, just kind of doing a little homage to that. Just an absolute awesome album. And again, this is the consensus. If you go to Prog Archives, this is the consensus number 1 choice. I thought about it, and you could probably bribe me with not much, and I would flip it to my number 1. But it's an awesome album. I would tell you to start right here. But number 2 from 2008, their 4th album, I have Sleeping in Traffic Part 2. And so there can only be 1 album. So coming in at number 1, their 3rd album from 2007, I have Sleeping in Traffic Part 1. The thing I love about Sleeping in Traffic Part 1 is it just flows as a full album. Like, all of the songs, some songs are 2 minutes, some songs are 10 minutes, but it doesn't matter whether the songs are long or short, just the whole album flows and the melodies are incredible. So you've got the On the Verge of Sanity, which is short, and then it goes into the big Sunrise, which is awesome. Awesome song. And then you got a shorter one, Afternoon Conversation, which is nice. And it's nice. It's like 3.5 minutes long, but it's a good one. And Never Know, we heard that to open the show. That's a good one. That's like 6 minutes. Roulette's the long one here at 12 something. That's probably the centerpiece of the album. Dark Poet is awesome. It's only like 3 minutes, and it's just Rickard and a piano, and it's kind of moody, but it's really good. It just comes in out of nowhere. And harmony's great. The Ungodly Slob is an instrumental that's just trippy, wild, awesome. They cover so many styles within just that one instrumental. Year of the Knife is great. All these songs are like in the 7-minute range. Without You and this basically ends it, I guess, the same old song, Sunset, that bookends it. So, but this is my number 1 from 2007, is Sleeping in Traffic Part 1. And I think this is the consensus number 2 pick, but it's my number 1. So there you go. That is ranking the 8 albums of Beardfish. So real quick, to recap, at number 8, I have their debut, the one with the Swedish title, Fran en Plats Du Edge Kanse. At number 7 from 2012, I have their 7th album, The Void. At number 6 from 2015, their 8th and final album, 4626 Comfort Zone. At number 5, their 2nd album from 2005, the one that's really hard to get a hold of, but it's The Same Day. And then at number 4 from 2011, their 6th album, Mammoth. At number 3 from 2009, their 5th album, Destined Solitaire. At number 2, their 4th album from 2008, Sleeping in Traffic Part 2. And at number 1, their third album from '07, Sleeping in Traffic Part 1. And I had mentioned I would circle back to the bonus demo material from 4626 Comfort Zone, but they've just got all these outtakes, or like there's a song on here called Now, and there's a song on the same day called Now, but they said this was the alternate version, that for some reason they chose the other version for the album, but they prefer this version of Now to the one on the same day. And then they've got I think 5 tracks were recorded during the that debut albums session. A couple of tracks were recorded during the Sleeping in Traffic Part 1 session. 4 of these tracks were recorded in '02. 5 of these were recorded in '03. A couple were recorded during the Sleeping in Traffic Part 1 session. And then at least one of these was recorded during the Sleeping in Traffic Part 2 session. So just good stuff. And, you know, I was listening to this too. I knew I wasn't going to rank the demos, but I listened to the demos. The demos the demos make up 75 more minutes of music. So the demos themselves, you're getting 2 awesome albums here. You're getting their final release, but you're also getting some of the earliest recordings from the 2000s from those first 4 albums. So if you at all like the debut or the Same Day or the Sleeping in Traffic albums, you're going to hear all kinds of music from that era. So it's kind of like a lost album. So, you know, even though I didn't rank Comfort Zone based on that, you're basically getting 2 albums in one here. And the Same Day itself, like I said, is a double disc that's, you know, almost 2 hours long. So they give you 8 albums, but every album is like 65 to 75 minutes long, and you know, one of them's almost 2 hours long, and then this final one is like 2 long albums in one. So there you go, just a really cool band. It's too bad that they disbanded, but you know, I think they did the right thing. If the band members were starting to splinter and they wanted to make the sound change and they were going to have lineup changes, I think they did the right thing and just said, hey, we had a good run of 8 awesome albums, no weak ones, all good ones. So they left a really nice legacy behind. And Rickard Sjöblom, the main guy, he and David Zackerson have continued on with Rickard's Sjöblom's Gungfly. So that's what his project is now, and it sounds an awful lot like BEARDFISH. And again, you've got half of BEARDFISH doing that. So you got the keyboard, guitar, vocals are in place. You just have basically a different rhythm section now. But you know, I listened to his album On Her Journey to the Sun. I think it came out in 16, maybe 17. But those songs were the ones that he took to the studio in 2016. To record for the next BEARDFISH album, and I guess that's when the band kind of fell apart, and he took that material that was supposed to be the 9th BEARDFISH album, and he made On Her Journey to the Sun. I think that was a Gunfly album, but anyway, that was the album that came out in 2016 or 17. So if you want to hear what BEARDFISH may have done next, you might want to check out that album. And again, he's done more work since then, and like I said, he brought David Zackerson with him from BEARDFISH to continue on. So if you want to continue to hear more music that sounds like BEARDFISH, just follow Rickard and Gunfly. It's pretty close, pretty similar. So there you go. I think that covers a really cool band that I hope people don't forget about. I know they broke up about 5 years ago at this point, but they were an auto purchase for me back in the day for sure. And when I heard that they had broken up, I was pretty bummed out about it because I thought they were real awesome, critical, you know, like one of those bands that you whatever they did, you were like, wow, they've pushed progressive music forward yet again. You know, you were always waiting to see what they had, what they were going to come up with. But so there you have it. That is ranking the discography of Swedish Proggers BEARDFISH. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.
This helplessness I can